Interesting video tonight. Nick Fuentes is kind of breaking the internet right now. The new video that he released that is of unbelievably low quality on Twitter. I'm not really sure why it's so bad, but it is. So basically, he's just being very honest of his perception of black people right now, which I think is definitely coming from a place of honesty. You know, I don't think that he's actually being malicious at all with what he's saying. But I will let him speak for himself. You guys can tell me what you think. This is Nick Fuentes. Dear black people, your culture sucks.
It's a shame. I really do believe, look, I think black people are not irredeemable, but there just needs to be brutal honesty. It's like, look, these black people are really struggling and they're turning into these maniacs. It seems like they don't do anything right. They're obnoxious, they're rude, they're inconsiderate, aggressive, cruel. And, you know, look, nobody hates black people for being black. If there are people like that, I think that's exceedingly rare. And I don't consider myself one of them. The reason that people have negative attitudes about black people is because most people's interactions with black people are negative. Most people's interactions with black people is when you're stuck in traffic and you see a Nissan Altima speeding down the shoulder. And you say, what the fuck? You're not supposed to do that. If everybody did that, it would just be another lane. And, you know, not everybody can do that. But it's like these people have no respect for decorum. They think the rules don't apply to them. They have no respect for society. Like that's their interaction is they are a waiter and they wait on a black table and the black people don't tip and they're fucking rude. Like that's most people's interactions. It's stuff like that. They go to the DMV and they see a black person behind the counter and they say, oh, here we go. And the person's rude. Now, it just goes to show people are not racist. It goes to show people don't like people that are rude. That people don't, it's unpleasant. People want to be treated with consideration and respect. And it is true that black people are, in this day and age, unfortunately, seem to have very low moral character. It's not even just the violence, although the violence is pretty striking. If you live your life and you know that you're going to be mugged by black people, it kind of colors your opinion or perception of black people, wouldn't you say? If 99% of the carjackings and stabbings and shootings that you see in Chicago are by black people, when you're walking down the street late at night, guess what you're looking for? Black people. And you equate that with danger. And it doesn't take a lot of them to spoil the whole bunch like that. And we just want black people to take accountability and say, look, I'm not a bad person. I'm not a bad person. It just seems that every time I encounter you people, for the most part, it's negative. And sometimes extremely negative, like I could get a gun in my face. You know? That's a problem. And people go, well, you are just loaded up with hatred and racism. It's like, I'm really not. I'm a really friendly person. I'm a really polite, friendly person. I give everybody a chance. But if I'm someplace and I see some black person walking in with their pants sagging and they can't articulate what their problem is or what they need, and they're rude and they're aggressive and I'm in fear for my life, like, yeah, I have a problem with all of that. And people go, and these black people go, well, you're racist, you're racist. It's like, no, I just hate inconsiderate behavior. If black people were super well behaved, we would be racist in the other direction. We'd say, black people, oh, yes, dude, yes. My day is about to turn around for the better. What can I help you with, sir? Please come right on in. Man, what a relief to see you here. You're a sight for sore eyes. If black people were known for being the best, then we would be racist in the other direction. Oh, finally. So yeah, that really bothers me. It just bothers me in this damn ass city, because that's all it is in Chicago, is just these black people who can never take accountability. It's always somebody else's fault.
So, a little controversial to say the least, but I don't think that it should be. We've all seen that there's been an uptick in the black community with violence and degenerate behavior, which me personally, I would prescribe to rap culture and shit like that, where degenerate behavior and use of drugs and murder, all this dumb shit for clout, is glorified to an extreme. Young men are literally out there on the prowl, hunting for other young black men to kill to gain some kind of reputation for somebody somewhere. And it's baffling to me because for years, what have we heard? We've heard that, black people are suffering. It's the fault of white people and all this shit. And it's like, well, how are white people driving you to murder people within your own community so that you can gain some modicum of respect for being a fucking criminal or a murderer? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not talking about black people that go to fucking jail because they want to smoke a joint or something and they got pulled over and they got found out. I think that's bullshit and it shouldn't happen. What I'm talking about is people who are legitimate criminals who are doing heinous shit in their communities, because let's not forget, it's not just the people who get shot who are involved in that community. It's everyone in the community. Everyone has to suffer from this stupid bullshit where you have to be afraid of letting your kid go outside and play in the fucking front yard. Otherwise, some dumb motherfucker is going to come over with a stolen Glock 19 and fucking blow their brains out in your fucking front yard. That's insanity. And no one calls it out. And what's crazy is I was watching a Fleckus Talks video and they were just talking about a shooting that happened in Myrtle Beach where a dude literally just opened up on 11 fucking people. And there was a black chick going by. She's got the window rolled down and she's yelling at these fucking cops that are rendering aid to a black woman who's begging for help, just got shot in the leg. Two guys go down and they start to bandage her up. And this chick is fucking yelling at them, talking shit, because she thinks that the cops fucking shot that guy and the girl, having no clue that the guy that's on the ground right now that they're putting in handcuffs just fucking attempted to murder almost a dozen people, dog. Now, the good news is that there seem to be a lot of black people that are catching on to this and are starting to call it out, which I think needs to happen. Because the thing with Nick is it doesn't matter how accurate he is or what kind of facts he brings to the table. At the end of the day, his skin color is different. And him saying all these things can come off as abrasive or racist or like whatever, because it takes nothing to be racist anymore nowadays. At least seemingly racist, because people are taught that complaining about a certain group of people or whenever you see a shit ton of a certain group of people doing something wrong, you can't call it out. Otherwise, you hate them. You literally hate those people. Now, watching this video and hearing what Nick has to say, I don't see the issue. Now, some people might say, well, that's because you're white, or at least they think I'm white because of what I sound like. And you would think that I am white whenever you see me, because I mostly am. But I wouldn't exist if it wasn't for a black man. My great-grandfather was a soldier in World War II. He met my German grandmother, and they fell in love. Then he came back to the United States and had 14 children. So literally, I owe it to black people for my existence. And that's something that I loved growing up. But as I've gotten older and I've watched this community or this culture evolve to what it is today, I can't stand it. It breaks my heart. Looking back and seeing my family grow up in the environment that they did, literally Jim Crow. My grandmother came from Germany and experienced what it was like to be married to a black man as a white woman. Now, granted, she lived in an area just outside of Philadelphia. So I don't know what it was like back then in that area, or if it was more chill or not. Now, obviously, like, you know, you would think that in the North it was a lot more chill than it was in the South, but racists live everywhere. Genuine racists live everywhere. But it breaks my heart to see the black community go from being stronger in the 50s under segregation and Jim Crow laws to now being more free than ever, having a better opportunity than ever in black history, especially compared to Africans, to see them squandering their lives. I mean, like, I want to just say like skills and shit, but it's literally their fucking lives. They're murdering each other in the streets for clout. And it's pathetic. It's pathetic that it's taken this long, that it's taken these many lives for black people to finally wake up and start saying, hey man, this is fucking bullshit. It shouldn't be like this, you know? But I wanted to kind of bring in another content creator that I like a lot. I listen to a lot of his videos. His name is Night Talk, and he kind of reacts to this. So in his video, he had just finished up right here where we left off. So I'm going to swap on over to him real quick, and then we're going to listen to him and see what he has to say.
I was curious about his own interactions with black folks to have such a generalization of black folks. I mean, like, how many ghetto black folks are you running into that act that way? I mean, but he answered the question if he's living in Chicago, because there are certain parts of Chicago where there's nothing but that type of shit around. Well, at least that's what I heard. That's the narrative. You feel me? I ain't been in Chicago around all that. I ain't been in Chirac, but then it's like there's good pockets of Chicago too. So like, what you doing in Chirac? But anyway, if that makes sense.
Well, okay. So just right off the bat with that, you don't have to interact with a lot of ghetto black people. Ghetto black people are literally pacing themselves all over the internet constantly, showing you what it's like to be around them, to be around people who just don't give a fuck. And obviously, Nick didn't say that this is all black people. Personally, I don't even think that Nick is racist. I think that he's just fed up living in Chicago, watching his city turn to fucking dog shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I can tell based on Night Talk's reaction that this kind of cut a little deep, I think. You know, nobody wants to hear that about your own community, because to him, he probably grew up around a ton of very respectable black people. So whenever he thinks about black people in his mind, he's thinking maybe his mom was a good person. Maybe his dad was a good person. His uncle, his aunt, his cousins, they had a fucking great time growing up with each other. But unfortunately, something I learned in the Marine Corps that I'm still kind of figuring out now is perception is reality. And whenever you spend a shit ton of time online looking at all this bullshit, like the dude getting his ass beat in Ohio during like a jazz festival or something, getting his ass beat, a lady tries to intervene and she gets fucking knocked out by a grown-ass man. That's pathetic. On top of the mob violence that was happening, all these black people jumping on this guy. I don't know what he did. I can guarantee you he didn't just walk up and say the fucking N-word to a giant ass group of black people. You know what I'm saying? Or even the guy in fucking Myrtle Beach. I mean, how many videos have you seen scrolling through TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, where there's just an unreal amount of fucking violence or just degenerate ass fucking behavior? A lot. And that is what is setting the tone for people's view on black people. But anyway, I want to let Night Talk finish what he's saying real quick.
If that's all his interactions with black folks in Chicago. But even with that, it's like, I'm curious of the genuineness behind this video because Nick Fuentes has to be smart enough to know that all black folks don't act that way, right? That's just the narrative. That's the image the media wants to depict black people as to perpetuate this divisiveness.
I don't think that Nick is saying all black people whatsoever. But one thing that he just said is that the media is perpetuating this narrative that black people are, you know, just this fucking degenerate sect of society that is unredeemable or whatever. And that's not the case, in my opinion. In my opinion, I don't think that's the case. I think that black people are doing it themselves and not even realizing it. Whenever somebody pulls out their fucking phone, whenever something is going down, and they record it because they want to throw it up on TikTok or Instagram or fucking Twitter, what does that tell you? You know what I'm saying? They're doing it themselves. They're literally filming their own interactions with one another. I don't think that it's the media. And, you know, and I'm throwing up air quotes here, you can't see, but like the media. And it's like, well, what media group is doing this? I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of media groups that are actually covering what's happening. Like the thing that happened in Ohio, that was plastered all over the place. But you know what doesn't get plastered all over the place is the unreal amount of violence that is happening in black communities at an alarming rate. There are more black people that are injured and killed in mass gun violence than anybody. It's perpetuated by men in the black community. Drive-by shootings. I mean, I think that like a mass shooting, I don't remember, and I should look this up, but I'm fucking lazy. A mass shooting is defined by, I think, when there is 2 or more victims involved with the shooting, which, you know, that constitutes a lot. But whenever people think mass shooting, they're probably thinking on a larger scale where you're looking at something like a Columbine or like the that country music festival in Vegas years ago, whenever that guy was shooting out the hotel with an AR. That's what people are generally thinking of with mass shootings. You wouldn't think that it's all concentrated in one area because it's not talked about. And this isn't just to shit on black people. It's to help black people, the people who don't want to be involved with shit like this, with terror happening on their streets. And that's, I mean, you can't say that they're terrorists because I don't think that they really have political motives, but it's horrific. And I feel for those people who are stuck in that, just like Nick does, just like Night Talk here does, just like a shit ton of people. And I would say the majority of people in the fucking country don't want black people to have to fucking suffer through this fucking shitty ass degenerate fucking culture that is just manifesting. You know what I'm saying?
But he has to know that, man. So, and he has to know that that's going to be the response from black folks to a video like this. When you generalize all black folks as ghetto, loud, aggressive, you feel me? That's just entirely inaccurate. You know, but with that, I'm in agreement with a lot of things that he says outside of the generalization of black folk, because your boy got some ghetto fatigue. I mean, that's all it sounds like this is, just ghetto fatigue, or no, not ghetto fatigue, black fatigue. That's all this sounds like is black fatigue. He's saying black fatigue, bro, but that is a certain pocket of black folks. You know, motherfucker like me, I don't take offense to it, bro, because I'm not that type of black person he's describing, nor does any of the black people I surround myself with act that way. And there's a whole demographic of black folks out here that do not align with the ghetto hood booger type shit that comes out of the black community, bro. But what you're describing, sir, is black culture, right? You feel me? And I agree with everything he says outside of just brushing all black folks like that, because that's just absolutely false. And the majority of black folk are not going to be rational enough. I mean, majority of people, period, not going to be rational enough to not take offense by what he's saying because he's not talking about you. You know, I would be curious how Nick Fuentes would interact with someone like me or whomever else that's black that does not portray the ghetto black image and like to, you know, see how he respond. I would wonder what he's thinking like this when he sees black folk. Every black person he sees, he immediately associates that image towards. That's dangerous. It's no different.
But see, the thing is, I don't think that he does that. I mean, there's been plenty of instances where Nick has been on panels like Fresh and Fit and shit, where he's surrounded by black people and he's interacting with them, no problem. He has no problem sitting down and talking to black people. Like, I highly doubt that Nick looks at someone like Candace Owens or look at Night Talk or look at whoever, you know, just pick somebody, Officer Tatum, right? He's probably not looking at those people and thinking, look at these black pieces of shit. I don't think that's what he's doing at all. And this is why I was saying that it's so important for black people to just open their eyes and see what's happening to their fellow black people, men, women, and children, and seeing how this is affecting them. There's a lot of shit that needs to change. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't shit that needs to change in other sects of society. There absolutely are. And people will call it out all the time. But for some reason, it just seems like this has been untouchable for a while. You know what I mean? And I think that the tides are starting to turn.
From women out here brushing all men as grapists and misogynists and sexist and all this shit, or, you know, violent or whatnot, man, because of whatever interaction they've had with the few men that have represented men the absolute worst way. But that often happens, though. You have an interaction with a few of a group, and now you automatically associate all men as, you know, demonic grapists because you've run into a few bad apples. But that would just be stupid to sit here and label every man out here a rapist. But that's what they do, and that's exactly what Nick Fuentes is doing right now.
See, and again, I'm disagreeing with him because that's not what Nick Fuentes is doing. Nick Fuentes is literally just venting at what he's seeing. And the thing is if men were coming out in droves and recording themselves committing crimes, being degenerate pieces of shit and raping women or graping or whatever the fuck, I'm not monetized, so I don't give a fuck. I'm going to say whatever I want to. Men aren't recording themselves raping the fuck out of women and then posting it on social media for millions of people to see, and then millions of people responding with fucking emojis, laughing about it. Haha, that's what they get, dumb bitches, or like whatever. That's not what's fucking happening. But what is happening is black people recording themselves doing heinous shit, mainly to other black people. And sometimes white people, sometimes people of other races. This shit is like a fucking epidemic in this country. And it needs to fucking be called out, and it needs to be handled from inside, within the black community. White people, like, this white savior bullshit needs to fucking go away. And we need to be able to hold people accountable so that they can change from this evil bullshit that they keep perpetuating in their communities and come to really just love themselves as a community and want to take care of one another and ensure that they can actually rise above the bullshit that they're living in right now. I don't know. I hope that more content comes out from people like Nick, but also black commentators to come out and actually call this out and try to change people's minds within the black community to look into themselves see that something needs to change, and then actually make that change. You know what I'm saying? But it's not going to happen by us just sitting here twiddling our fucking thumbs, you know, kind of praying to God and hoping that black people who are degenerate pieces of shit, who are going out there and murdering each other, who are going out there and giving their community a bad name, to change. I'm not actually sure if what I just said made any sense. I kind of got lost in what I was saying. But anyway, let's finish this up.
You can't do that, bro. You can't do that. You know what I mean? But I know he's not the only one that feels this way. There's a lot of motherfuckers that feel this way, man.
And there's a lot of people that feel this way in the black community.
You got to use some logic. You got to use your logic. You got to use your fucking brain to know that all black folks don't act like that. The majority of black folks don't act like that. It's just the obnoxious, degenerate, loud shit you see that is meant to get your attention to force you to view black people that way. You know, it's no different than viewing LGBTQ a certain way, or viewing white people a certain way, or viewing Mexican people a certain way. The media depicts certain groups as the worst stereotypes of these groups to have people stereotyping groups this way, bro. When it's not the case. You know, it just sucks, bro. It sucks, dog. You know what I mean? Being black and knowing that narrative is out there, bro. Being black, having that fucking narrative about black folks, dog. I hate that shit. I absolutely hate that shit, bro. It does us such a fucking disservice, man. You know what I'm saying? It keeps us held down, and that keeps us held down more than anything compared to all these other things that black folks typically cry victim about that's keeping them down, like the man keeping me down, redlining keeping me down, racism keeping me down. You know what I mean? When, you know, 9 times out of 10, black folks don't have no way to prove any of these things that they claiming, right? But you know damn well this narrative, how black people are seen, right? Of how certain black people act is doing the most disservice to the black community more than anything, bro. If all black folks took it upon themselves to represent the black community in a positive way, bro, we could fucking fix this shit, bro. You know what I mean? Fucking fix this shit, dog.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
It's layers to it. You know what I'm saying? There's definitely layers to it, dog. You got the man, you got the machine, you got the elites out here playing motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Puppeteering this shit to make black people look a fucking certain way, dog.
Yep. Dude, yes. Okay. I started this video and I didn't finish it, so I haven't gotten this far into his commentary. But yes, like literally, he's hitting it right on the fucking head. Since Trump's got elected, what I have come to realize is that the differences that people have within American culture, like the racial differences, could just be left at that. Right? Black people have way more in common with white people than either two of those races even know. Especially like, oh my God, country black people are like my fucking favorite people, right? Because it's just like looking at somebody in my family and they get it. It's the same fucking culture, just different skin color. And at the end of the day, I don't think that most people give a fuck about skin color. I think it's very rare for someone to just look at you and be like, man, fuck your skin color, bro. You know what I'm saying? Dude, the most of the time when I've heard shit like that was actually coming from fucking African students at my first university that I attended. I literally heard an African dude I was working with. He was a student, I was a student, and I was a janitor at the time. And I remember him talking shit to my fucking supervisor and saying that he wasn't black because he's not from fucking Africa. You know what I'm saying? Just shitting all over him. You know what I mean? And it's just like, damn, bro, relax. You know what I'm saying? But I have rarely run into a white person who hates a black person literally just because of their skin color. I think a lot of the negative attention that has come to black people is literally because of rap culture and the way that they are portrayed. I guess, you know what? I guess I'll go back and I will say I kind of agree with him that media kind of paints black people to be this way, but the places that this is actually coming out of is fucking Hollywood. The identity that people take on once they enter into the hip hop culture or rap culture is fucking wild. And the people that are at the top of these companies who are pushing out all of these albums from these labels and shit are white people or Jews. You know what I'm saying? How many fucking labels are out there that are run by black people that everybody knows of? Probably not a lot. What, Death Row Records? You know what I'm saying? But that's something that's going to have to change within the black community. People have to acknowledge that and they have to reject that. They have to stop paying into this, making it something that young black men and women want to bring into their lives, into their psyche, fill their minds with. If you're constantly listening to music that glorifies degenerate behavior, fucking murdering each other, doing drugs and shit, and doing nothing to help your community or your fellow man or your fellow black man or woman or child, what do you think the outcomes are going to be? Fucking awful. Awful. And that's what's happening now. And it's unfortunate. It fucking breaks my heart. Anyway.
At the end of the day, if every motherfucker out here that is black represented themselves the way they want the black community to be seen, to be respected, to be revered, to be, you know, looked up to, as we should, that would fix so much with the fucking black community where we wouldn't have no Nick Fuentes or anybody else out here saying some bullshit unless they were really fucking racist, dog. And then with that, what I would allow us to see who the real racists are. You know what I mean? Like if you black and you out here talking the right way, walking the right way, looking the right way, got money, financially literate, know how to speak, you know what I mean, confident, have decorum, have etiquette, respectful, considerate, just knowing how to be a law-abiding citizen, dog. We out here running this shit, dog. But nah, man. You know, the government want us to look stupid, want us to look ghetto, want us to look poor, want us to look weak, want us to look like gangsters, want us to be violent, want us to be killers and shit, man. Right? I mean, we're talking about Chicago, bro. How many fucking Chicagos are there in America, bro? You know what I mean? Certain pockets of the world, certain pockets of America that's fucked up. Majority of black folks out here just working, trying to earn a living, dog. They ain't worried about shit else, bro. But you know, that narrative definitely, you know, that narrative definitely is a motherfucker, man. So, yeah, I hate it. Right.
Me too.
Yeah. What? To sum it up, I know I'm long-winded.
And I can see the pain that this brings him. You know, he said he wasn't offended earlier, and I don't think that he is offended by what Nick is saying because I think that he can see the truth in what Nick is saying. You know, and he wants to make sure that, you know, everybody knows that not all the black community is like this. And I think that most of us do understand that, you know, and I hate it for him, man. And I hate it for other people in the black community that don't fall into that mindset or that don't fall into that mold. You know what I mean? That shit is painful. You know, I just wish that there would be some kind of momentum started to make change.
Bro, but to sum it up, dog, it's a lot of right with what he said about certain black folks in the black community, bro. But, you know, he wrong as fuck by sitting here generalizing all black folks that way. But as a black person, if you take offense to that, knowing that you are not who he's speaking to, just know he's not speaking to you, right? And we need to hold the motherfuckers accountable that are out here making black folks look crazy. You know what I'm saying? fucking Sexy Reds out here and the Meg the Stallions and the Cardi B's and you know what I mean, like fucking NBA young boys and the young thugs and the right, that shit glorified. Dog got money behind it, and it you know, it's the hip hop, the prison lifeline. Dog has done that a certain way. You know what I mean? Anyway, I ain't mad at it.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that he's not mad at it, you know. But anyway, this video's gone on long enough. Let me know what you guys think. I'd like to see how many people actually agree with what Nick is saying. Because I remember just a few years ago, you know, even me, I wouldn't listen to what Nick had to say on anything. I was like, bro, I don't want to listen to that fucking bullshit, because I took what everyone else was saying about him and applying that to him without even knowing what his content is like. Like, is he actually racist? Well, I didn't know. I just assumed that he did because I was listening to what other people said. But I think that as he's kind of been putting out more content and being more outspoken and stuff, I think that people are kind of starting to come around to what he's saying and seeing that there might be some value in what he's saying. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think. If you like this, please like it and subscribe, do all that stuff. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.